What's up, y'all, and welcome back. We back with another day of Vlogtober. As y'all can see, this is another subby read. I'm going to get right into it, so before I do, I need you guys to like the video for me. Don't forget to leave a comment and make sure you subscribe because I will be posting all October. So this story starts off by saying, "Hey, I've been watching your channel for a long time and your stories have me rolling. I love your channel. Okay, let me get into the story. I don't mind you saying my name. Here we go. So this happened years ago, back when I was in the 6th grade, and I decided to go to my sister's house. We're more so like friends, but we've known and done stuff together like we're family, so that's what we call each other. But when I went over there this particular night, my older sister Terica, her friend, had told me her mom had left and it's just her sisters and cousins. We're all upstairs and her younger sisters are in a room. All of a sudden, the car alarms go off in the garage, so we go downstairs to see what's going on. We get down there and see that the garage door is open, so we cut the lights on and look around, but we couldn't find anything. We're thinking that's weird, but we closed the garage door and lock it and went back upstairs. Now we're back upstairs, and maybe 30 minutes or so later, the same thing happens. We once again go back downstairs, and do you know the garage is back open? Mind you, nobody has been down there, and everybody was in the same room. So we're thinking, who is doing this? I'm literally scared for my life at this point. So we close the garage door once again and lock it. By this time, I'm ready to leave and go home because I don't play with spirits and stuff like that. I started getting my stuff ready to head back home since I stayed 2 houses down from theirs. It's dark outside. I was really scared to walk home, but I was even more scared to stay in the house. I finally built up the courage to walk home. I walk and I make it. I started acting like nothing happened for the rest of the night until maybe 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm laying in bed sleeping with my parents, and you know how you wake up in the middle of the night before you have to pee? It was like that, but before I could even get out of the bed, I heard my name being called from downstairs. So I'm thinking, oh no, something followed me from their house. Whatever was calling my name, it sounded just like my mom, calling me in her voice, but mind you, I'm sleeping in between both of my parents. They were asleep, and I'm staring into the hallway looking at the stairs. Honestly, I don't know why they slept with the door open, but they did, and that's why I don't sleep with doors open because of that. The thing calls my name 3 times and I never answered because I was frozen in fear. After that, I put my head under the pillow, scared, trying to go back to sleep. I never went to the bathroom to pee. That was the most scariest moment in my life, and I never told my parents what happened because I'm pretty sure they were going to look at me crazy. I didn't have another experience, and then we eventually moved from that house. Other stuff happened later on down the road, but that's another story. But yeah, that was my paranormal experience story time. I hope you enjoyed it because typing this made my nerves really bad. I can feel how I felt again. That's crazy, and I'm glad you did not answer the spirit. You are never supposed to answer when things call your name, especially if it sounds like a loved one and you're sleeping right in between your mom and dad and it sounds like your mom. I'm so glad you did not do that because it would have kept messing with you like that. Maybe the fact that you ignored it, you didn't have another experience, but I'm not sure if it followed you. I don't want to scare anybody, but I feel like some people could have attachments. So what if it was attached to you already? I'm not sure if you had experiences before, but that's just me overanalyzing. I don't know anything more about the situation. Don't listen to me. But thank you so much for sending in your story. I want to make a quick disclaimer. If you send in a paranormal, scary story or anything like that, try not to use profanity because I'm just going to end up skipping over it and rewording the sentence. And that makes it harder for me when I'm reading because I have to do it on the spot quickly because I don't pre-read. So try not to use a lot of profanity or if any at all. I feel like profanity takes the scary aspect away. For me, at least for me, it does. So if you guys can try to do that for me when you send in your stories, it would be greatly appreciated, okay? Now, let's get into this next story. Hey T, this is a spooky story that happened to my family about a year ago now, but I'll never forget because we were so shook. So it's me, my husband, I'll call him E, and my 2 daughters. We're living in this apartment. We had been there for 3 years. So it's around 9:30 p.m., a completely normal night. The girls were in their room asleep, my husband was playing his game, and I decided to go shower. I'm in the shower washing. I turn my back towards the water, getting shower gel on my rag, and just letting the hot water hit my back. I feel something touch my lower back. I'm sitting there confused. I'm going over it in my mind, thinking water can't feel like a touch. I'm trying to convince myself that I'm tripping. It literally felt like something touched me softly. I hurry up and get out because I'm scared. I don't tell my man because he already thinks that I'm scary, and I just keep it to myself. Anyway, we end up going to sleep. Like clockwork, the youngest comes into the bed, but she climbs into the bed and says, "Mommy, you called me?" I'm like, "I didn't call you," but she kept saying, "Mommy, you called me." I brush it off like, "Okay, you're just sleepy." At this point, E leaves out of the bed because we were about to take up the whole bed. My daughter sleeps wild, constantly moving her feet. We all go back to sleep. About 45 minutes go by, and here he comes getting back in the bed with us. It's unusual for him to get back in bed with us after he leaves. He says after he dozed off, he felt something lightly pinch him in the stomach. He says, "After I dozed off, something lightly pinched me in the stomach. I thought it was you playing, but you were nowhere in sight." I tell him what happened in the shower and what the baby was saying. Now our oldest wakes up coming in the room saying she's scared. It's like we all were under attack and I don't know what it was. I don't know why we were all being messed with this night, but I started playing a calming prayer on my phone out loud and we went back to sleep. We haven't had any incidents since, and yes, I still live at the same apartment. What makes it strange is, a couple months before this incident, my neighbor came beating on my door one night saying he needed help and that his dad was passing. He was at work, so it was only me and the girls home at the time. He needed help getting him into the car. Why not call 911 instead? A young woman can't help carry this heavy man to his car. I try to help, but I have a weak stomach. I'm over there gagging and I'm literally no help. Long story short, the dad was unalive. I don't know if that had anything to do with this spooky night, but I always think about helping this man and his unalive dad. It's something I can't shake. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this story and it makes the cut. D. Thank you so much for sending in your story. That is strange. And I really feel like the neighbor definitely should have called 911 instead of trying to take the father to the hospital himself. I know the charge for someone to come and pick up or take people to the hospital is a hefty charge, but I don't know, maybe he should have asked the man or something. I'm not sure. That is creepy. On to the next story. Hey T, I love you and your channel. My name is Renee. My real name is okay to use. This is my first time ever submitting a story time. My first time ever telling this publicly. I hope it serves as entertainment, but also as a warning. In 2014, my husband's kids and I went through a demonic issue. It made me a believer in everything I was ever taught growing up. It started one night. I heard what sounded like spoons in my drainer rattling. I won't lie, our place was kind of creepy, so honestly, I wrote it off as maybe a rap. I went to sleep thinking I would just get traps the next day. Night 2, I heard walking in the hall. Our place was a duplex. I wrote that off as the kids next door walking around. Sound travels easily in close living spaces. But as time went on, I began to feel like I was being watched. My mom and sister refused to come in my house. They said they felt a man's presence, an evil one. Finally, I realized something was wrong and I had to face it. We had a room we never opened because that felt like the central location for this thing. I went in with my Bible and I began reading. I felt it at my back and it was there. I fought back tears and I kept reading until the fear just became too much. I closed the door and I tried to ignore it until 2 final things happened. I was the only one home besides my babies. My husband was still at work. It was late, around 10. I was taking selfies in the bathroom and I heard what sounded like a football player full on run into the door. We kept it closed and I heard the wood crack. My husband was skeptical and he didn't really believe any of this. One night, I left walking because I just couldn't take it. I needed a break and I couldn't breathe. I came home and he's sitting on the couch, Xbox and TV off, only the kitchen light on. One look at his face and I knew he had his own experience. We went outside to talk as we never discussed it in the house. And he said, "You have to call someone in here." I heard it clawing at the back door. The next day, I called my pastor from years prior. I begged him to tell me that I was crazy or exaggerating, anything to solidify my fear. He calmly and gently stated I was correct. It was a demon. His wife was a demonologist. I called my mom crying. She did a bit of research that saved us. It was a protection and banishing prayer on YouTube. I played it once and it worked immediately. The air was light and clean again. Now the warning. What happened was my fault. I'd always been taught to be careful. what you watch or listen to, and to mute the TV if they begin speaking in another language, as in spells and demon banishing, like on Supernatural. I didn't think to do that. I wasn't careful, and this was the result. I know someone won't believe me, and that's okay. But for the ones who do, please take heed and do what the older folks taught us. Thank you, T, and everyone who took time to listen. Just from reading, I'm still confused how the entity got in your house. Like, was it already there? I'm not sure. If you're watching this, can you comment below for clarification? Because I'm still confused on that part. Maybe when I watch it back and listen to the story fully, it'll register better, because I feel like when I'm reading the stories versus editing and watching them back, it comes off different sometimes. So if you're watching, leave a comment. And let's get into this last story. Hey T, I love watching your videos. Well, this is a creepy story time, and it is called Auburn Place. Here we go. I was 20 years old when my family got kicked out of the housing projects in Harlem, New York City. We were avoiding going to a shelter in the city, but after being in a shelter in the Bronx, we were being transported to the shelter for disobedient delinquents, aka Auburn's Place. My first day there with my mom, I could feel something weird in the air. I met Anthony and Janelle, and they were brother and sister. Janelle would tell me that the shelter was a former hospital turned into a mental institution, and that some dude named Timmy was accidentally electrocuted to death in 1986. Well, one morning at 6:03, something weird happened. Me, Anthony, and a random guy were all connected, and it was like we became possessed. My mom recalls me throwing everything in our room on the floor and screaming in Spanish, "They're gonna kill us. She didn't know until later that day that the other two guys were connected. Janelle tells me the room we were staying in was an electric chair room, where Timmy died in 1986. I was shocked to know how much went down in that building after we left, but we moved to Miami after that went down. That was the last story, you guys. Thank you so much for sending in your stories. I really appreciate it. If you want me to read one of your spooky stories, the email will be on the screen. That's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment, and hit that subscribe button. Y'all already know the vibes. I love y'all so much, and I'm gonna see y'all in my next one. Bye.